starting preseason practice?
You know, obviously there's a great deal of excitement. I think the biggest thing is like I want enthusiasm going into our first, day of practice, and for the most part, I think that's happened. You know, I want guys eager, for that first day of practice. I know a lot of teams, throughout the country bring their whole team together. You know, once September 15th comes in, you can have more than 4 guys work out at a time. But I'm still big on that first day of practice being your first day with that team. And so we've not had our whole team together for basketball situations yet. We've done things as far as like conditioning, weight room, things like that as a team. We haven't had one day of actually being on the court with the basketball as far as like our whole team. So I'm really looking forward to that first day. Our whole team comes out there and have a lot of excitement and enthusiasm about the game of basketball. So I know our staff is looking forward to it. I know I'm actually looking forward to it. You know, I was out recruiting and I saw Mark Fox. You know, we're kind of when you're recruiting, it's always like that movie, The Usual Suspects. You keep seeing the same guys over and over again. So I saw Mark Fox and he said like, hey, relish Saturday. He said that's the first time you get a chance to say you're coaching a team. You know, this is your team. So he said relish that opportunity, and I'm excited about it.
You talked about different roles that guys are going to have to take, like Wendell being more offensive minded, Jalen being more well rounded, etc. It's kind of eager to see whether those guys can actually fill those roles. Going to solve that mystery whether they can do
Well,
that.
yeah, that remains to be seen, because we haven't done anything competitive 5-on-5 yet, and obviously we haven't played any basketball games. But what they demonstrated so far as like our individual workouts and some of our, workouts were 5-on-0, 4-on-0, and things like that. Those guys have tried to assume those roles. Now, whether they end up being successful in those new roles remains to be seen. But I'm excited about what those guys have demonstrated, what they can and cannot do so far.
Does
Kind
the
of
off
updated
season
some.
seem shorter or longer?
I'm sorry.
Does this season off season seem shorter or longer?
I don't think there's really such a thing as off season. Like it's a situation now. Like I've been in this business so long, and I've been doing the same things. The biggest thing for me, I've been so fortunate to work with guys that have given me an opportunity to coach basketball. I've never been seen as just like a recruiter. Obviously that's a big part of what I did as an assistant coach. But I've been really fortunate to work with guys that will let me do individual workouts, have some input in X and O's, putting in offensive and defensive schemes. So for me, and not a lot has changed as far as like obviously, I got total reign of the whole process. But the big thing for me at this point in time is just making sure our guys feel comfortable about what they're doing on the court. That's a lot of repetition and forming habits.
How's Fred coming along with his injury?
Fred is supposed to have an X-ray and go to the doctor today and get a final check and make sure that he can come out of his boot, his walking boot right now. His first X-ray went great. He was able to get the cast removed and go to a walking boot. So hopefully we'll get good news today in the fact that like he can come out of a walking boot. Now, like I still don't know what the progression is next for him as far as like is he just full bore 100% and can practice the whole time with the team? Is he limited as far as like he can go an hour, he can do half court, he can do some things? I don't know that information yet until he meets with the doctors, and then the doctors meet with Scotty, our trainer, and then they'll relay that information to me. But as far as like the things that Fred is supposed to do, going in and seeing the training staff and making sure he's doing everything he's supposed to do as far as his rehab, he's been great and terrific with that so far. So I'm looking forward to some good news.
What's it going to be like, you think, when you get the guys all together and you obviously had to make a decision being 2 guys short after booting a couple of players? How do you think the guys are going to kind of rally around you and kind of accept that?
Yeah, I don't think there's any sort of like a rallying cry or
Yeah.
anything like that. I think guys, signed on to play Division I college basketball, and so like the first day that they can have practice and get out and actually play, 5-on-5 basketball, you would hope and think that those guys would be enthusiastic about going out and playing basketball. So I don't think there's any sort of like a mindset coming in or any sort of a rallying cry. I just think the fact that like these guys love to play basketball and now they get an opportunity to do it.
Is this unique in a sense? Can you go 5-on-5 and have it be productive this year with just the amount of numbers that you have?
Yeah, I mean we got 12 guys.
Okay.
So we can play 5-on-5 and have a sub on each team. So yeah.
What would you say you know about this team in whole that maybe 3 or 4 months ago before they really started working that you didn't know?
Well, not a lot, to be honest with you, because, once again, just keep going back to the point that we haven't, did any 5-on-5 yet. I think the one thing that I do know is like we have willing workers. There hasn't been a day that I've come in and we've been on the court where I've had to push guys to work hard. We've had guys be attentive as far as like wanting to learn the game of basketball. We had guys show a great deal of effort. So the one thing that you're always concerned about is like coaching effort. And I haven't had to do that yet. Guys have been willing workers. So to me, that's the biggest aspect you have to have. Like you can't teach the game of basketball. You can't move forward if you're still trying to get guys to play hard. And I think for the most part, all of our guys have come in every day with a willingness to work.
We talk about your freshmen coming in. Obviously, they have a unique opportunity here, and what's kind of been the feedback you've gotten from them about what they're about to approach here?
Well, I think any transition, for a freshman coming in, for a high school kid coming in to play college basketball is an adjustment, no matter what the level. I think a kid that played high school basketball that goes and play NAIA basketball or Division III basketball, there's an adjustment. So the big thing I want to do is I want to instill a work ethic in these guys. And that's the one thing, to me, that's the most important aspect of like us being good is like instilling that work ethic. And the one thing that you kind of fight with a little bit is guys are not used to fouling. Like they think everything that you're teaching is a foul. And I said like it's not a foul. Like we're gonna play physical, tough basketball. And for the most part, some of these guys have been off in high school stars, and they don't want to get in foul trouble. They don't want to be that guy's got 3 fouls in the first half or something like that. For them now, the physicality of the game, them embracing that, is probably the biggest adjustment that they have right now. So, I told those guys, like, if you don't play physical and you don't play tough, you're going to have a hard time being on the court. And so, like, those guys embracing that aspect of basketball, going out there and playing tough, hard-nosed, physical basketball is probably going to be the biggest adjustment for me. But the biggest thing so far is, like, none of those guys have fought me on it. All those guys have embraced the fact that, like, they're trying to learn, they're trying to, they want to do what I want. They've been trying to please me, and then that's the thing that I'm coming away excited about. I haven't had any sort of fights or clashes about guys wanting to do what we want them to do.
How's Gavin with his weight and conditioning so far?
Gavin's been great. Like it's real simple. As Gavin's weight has decreased, he's looked better on the court. That first day we had workouts and he weighed 290 pounds. He didn't look very good. And as the weights dropped off, his performance went up. Weight continue to drop off, performance goes up. So like, I think Gavin has been terrific, and like Coach Akins has done a terrific job with him as far as like monitoring what he's eating, getting him in the weight room, doing some extra conditioning when he has to do it. But once again, like Coach Akins can do all the stuff that he wants to, but if Gavin is not willing to accept that, then we have problems. And Gavin's off the court, because you can't be around a kid 24 hours a day. Like if we're telling Gavin you need to eat grilled chicken, you need to eat salads, and he doesn't do it, no matter what we're saying, no matter what we're preaching, falls on deaf ears. But the biggest thing so far is like Gavin's been a willing like listener, and he's went out and did everything that Coach Akins has stressed to him. So his weight right now is hovering around 270 pounds, which is terrific. Okay. And we want him to stay there, and I don't think there'll be any problems as far as him staying there now that we're starting practice and starting the season. So, I think Gavin obviously is going to be a contributor to this team. I think he's going to have an impact, and I think he has a chance to be a really good player down the line for us.
You talked last time how important just to wait and see how Trevante does at the point that Chicken or Craig may have to play some at that position too. I know you hadn't practiced yet, but where do you kind of stand right there with that now?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that, Chicken is going to play some point for us. That's going to be his primary position, because the way we play as far as like pressuring the basketball, that's the point guard's primary duty defensively. So it's going to be awfully hard for a kid, to play that many minutes, and be productive, the way we want to play. So like Chicken's going to play a lot of point guard. Now the question is like, what other position does Chicken play? And I'm not big on positions. I really don't think it matters. To me, like if you're a good guard, that means you can dribble, pass, and shoot. So whether you're a 1, a 2, or a 3, you should be able to dribble, pass, and shoot. So for Chicken, you know, he's gonna be on the court because he's a talented kid, you know. The big thing we wanna do with Chicken is like, we don't want to like take away his enthusiasm to go make plays and to go score. And sometimes as a point guard, you gotta pick and choose when you do that. And so we want Chicken having some availability and opportunity to do what he does naturally, which is go score baskets. And so we're going to put Chicken in different positions, in different situations, and I think he'll be successful in all those places. But because of Jacoby's injury, like he's going to play a lot more point than he probably played, you know, if Jacoby was here and available.